I am Sunshine Lovelace with Outdoor Chattanooga. Outdoor Chattanooga is a unique division within the city's Economic and Community Development Department. And our role is to connect you with the outdoors, connect you with Chattanooga's vibrant outdoor scene. We do that through information. We have a website that you can visit, outdoorchattanooga.com. We have a building you can come visit us in person, pick up brochures, trail maps, or pick our brains about cool things to go do. And then we offer beginner level programs where we provide equipment and instruction to break down those barriers and help get more people outside. We also work with partners such as Tennessee River Gorge Trust to help educate and provide stewardship for our wild spaces. So again, I want to thank everyone for showing up tonight. We have 20 people hanging out with us on this Zoom webinar. One more time, I'm going to copy and paste the sign-in sheet into the chat. You guys go check that out. Click on that, and then let us know where you're joining us from. We would love to know. Give us your name and what state or country you're from. With that, Elliot, I think I'm going to hand it over to you. I want you to officially introduce yourself. And then don't forget, I want to ask a poll question.
All right. Thanks, Sunshine. Hey, everybody. My name's Elliot Burrs, and I'm the Access and Communications Director with the Tennessee River Gorge Trust. And some of you may or may not have heard of the River Gorge Trust, but we are a nonprofit 501c3 land trust. So what we do is buy and protect properties in the River Gorge. And we do a lot of other things with those properties as well. We do community engagement and outreach. We have environmental education programs. We maintain properties for public access and the means of climbing, hiking trails, campsites. We have some caves that are open for splunking, all kinds of things you'll learn about tonight. And then we also conduct some scientific research on the property, and that's kind of a means to contribute to environmental science as a whole, as well as to inform us on the resources that we manage, and we use that information to better manage the resource. And Sunshine, do you have a poll question you want to do before we get into the presentation?
Yeah, guys, and I guess I should have launched that before I let Elliot give his little spiel, but let us know if you've actually heard of the Tennessee River Gorge Trust. I see a Vanessa from California, so she may not have. Anybody that's a local probably has. But we would love to know kind of the baseline, where you guys are joining us from, if you have heard of Tennessee River Gorge Trust. Like I got most everybody voted. All right. What do you think, Elliot? You think most people have or have not heard?
I'm going to say 50% have heard of it. I guess they all have heard of it because of it.
A little better than that. 75%. 75% have heard.
Great. Awesome.
So that's awesome.
Well, hopefully you'll all learn a little bit more about the River Gorge Trust tonight. So we'll just are we good to start the presentation, Sunshine?
Take it away, Elliot. I would love for you to do.
All right. So this is just a series of pictures we'll go through, and I'll just talk through them. And if anybody has a question, just put it into the chat box. Well, we have a Q&A afterwards. So this is a very iconic picture of the Tennessee River Gorge, kind of around the area by Pop Point on Prentice Cooper property. We'll get into the specifics later, but this is a map of the properties that we manage. So anything you see that's blue is property that we own in fee simple ownership. And a lot of conservation organizations do hold land like that, but with smaller nonprofit land trusts, a more popular tool is what's called a conservation easement. And that's where you're basically purchasing the development rights on the property rather than owning the property itself. So the property owner maintains ownership. You have just bought the rights to ever develop the property or harvest the timber, harvest rock, etc. That's the yellow you see. So you can see we use just total ownership of the property more often than conservation easements. The red is TVA and Prentice Cooper properties that we have memorandums of understanding on. And the green is Williams Island. We'll get into that later. There's some really cool campsites out there, but that is we lease it from the state and manage it. This is to put things in perspective. If I'm not sure if you can see my cursor or not. Can you see my cursor, Sunshine? might be muted. Well, if you look at the northwest corner of the
Yes,
map,
I can see it at least.
okay, perfect. Um, if you look at that northwest corner of the map, you can see a big bend in the river, and basically that is this another iconic view from Snooper's Rock. I bet some of you on the participants list has been to Snooper's Rock. But what a lot of people don't know is right across the river from Snooper's Rock, that side of the mountain you see is Tennessee River Gorge Trust property. That's kind of one of our properties in the heart of the River Gorge, and we have hiking trails out there, and we do a lot of research activities, which we'll get into later. This is a picture of that same area just upstream at Suck Creek years ago. One cool thing I like to point out is the bank is more developed now, and there's a lot more going on in the gorge, but a lot of these mountainsides look just like they did back when this picture was taken, many, many, many decades ago. And that's because of efforts like Tennessee River Gorge Trust, Prentice Cooper, TVA, and whatnot. But first, I just want to talk about ways that you all can get outside in the River Gorge and see this awesome place that I just showed you some pictures of. We have two kind of a big public access area we call the Pop Point Track. It's on River Canyon Road, and you can get all this information on our website. I'll show you later. But we have this trailhead with two pretty popular trails that go off of it. The first is called the Pop Point Nature Loop, and this is a 4-mile loop. I like it a lot because it starts at river level. It takes you up the mountain. You hike through this really picturesque boulder field you see right here, and then it brings you back down the mountain, and you hike the next half back along the river. So you get to see these really two distinct ecosystems, and see it's a really scenic section of trail, great loop. It takes you through what we call the Pot Point Butterfly Meadow. We manage a couple acre large field for early successional habitat, and through that we promote the growth of a lot of native wildflowers. So we get lots of really cool butterflies, bird species, turkey poults and deer fawns, the young of turkeys and deer. They'll hide them in the field, so you'll get to encounter all kinds of cool stuff out there. The Pot Point Nature Loop takes you right by it. Another cool project on the picture on the right, and this is happening starting next week, we're going to build 2 backcountry campsites out here. So keep your eyes open. In the next couple of months, we'll have a mile and a half hike into some backcountry campsites on the side of the mountain off of that trail. The Ritchie Hollow Trail is one of our probably most popular access areas in the River Gorge. It's a really cool trail it's an out and back. So you hike from the parking lot at the river level all the way up to the top of Prentice Cooper to an area called Davis Pond. And it's one of the few places where the Cumberland Trail, which is on top of Prentice Cooper and all throughout Tennessee, is connected to the Tennessee River Gorge at river level. So it's quite the hike, though. You're gaining over 1,000 feet of elevation, but it's pretty short too, in about 2 miles, 2.1 miles.
It's an awesome hike. I must interject and say that it is a very good hike.
Yeah, it might be one of my favorites. This is a waterfall. It's kind of the reward right after the hardest part of the climb. You get to this waterfall, so you can take a break and walk down to it. There's a lot of moonshining history, which is one of my favorite things about the trail. If you keep your eyes peeled, you'll see steels like here on the left, or old remnants of the whole steel setup. These are pictures of people moonshining in Hamilton and Marion counties, kind of around the River Gorge area back in the day. But there's lots of evidence of old steel sites. There are these huge beech trees that you'll encounter out there, because I think the reason they're there is they were a little lower quality. So a lot of those trees got logged many, many years ago, but the beech trees got left. So there's these, 150-year-old beech trees out there along the Ritchie Hollow Trail. We also have 9 Blue Way campsites, which are part of the Tennessee River Blue Way system. It's this network of campsites, mostly within paddling distance throughout the Tennessee River. And this is a section that starts at Williams Island. For put in perspective, it's right across from Baylor High School or the Tennessee River Place venue. Suck Creek Boat Ramp is the closest boat ramp to this area that you see, Williams Island. And then if you paddle 7.5 miles downstream, you get to our other Blue Way campsite, the Pop Point Blue Way campsite. This is the campsite layout. They have picnic tables, a fire ring, an elevated platform. The campsites all have composting privies that are shared among a couple of the sites. And then just a little bit about kind of what goes into all this. So I just went over some of our access areas that we maintain for the community to use, but what we do behind the scenes is make that happen, that from the actual acquisition of a property where we buy a property to it being a campsite hiking area. So we have and this is done through partnerships. There's an awesome group of organizations in Chattanooga all that work together towards the same mission. Outdoor Chattanooga is one of them. They're one of our favorite partners. This is another one on the left here. This is the Southeastern Conservation Corps, and they do a fantastic job of building trails and access facilities all around our area. I'm sure if you're into the outdoors and you live in Chattanooga, you've walked on a lot of trails that have been built by the Southeastern Conservation Corps. This is actually them constructing the Ritchie Hollow Trail, some of the rock work they did on the right. Then after they're built, we're tasked with maintaining them, and bucking trees that fall down the trail. That's the most common thing, to fixing erosion issues, signage, maintaining the facilities, all of that. That's another thing that we're doing behind the scenes after we build these areas. Boundary marking, that's one thing that takes, we include this in the presentation because it's one thing that takes an enormous amount of time and is a big responsibility, but often gets overlooked. We own in fee simple ownership about 7,000 acres. So that's a lot of boundary lines that we're tasked with keeping marked and maintaining, making sure there's no trespass or encroachment, making sure everything's in order. You'll see our sign. If you ever see our signs too, you'll see they're either this property boundary line sign on the bottom left, or some of our sites have access by permission only, and some of them say access for trail users or access for climbers or cavers, or depending on the property. If you see an access by permission only sign, that's doesn't mean you can't be out there. That just means the property. We just like to know when you're out there and what you're doing. So if you just call the number and let us know what you want to do out there, if you want to go off off trail backcountry camp, if you want to go look for berries or mushrooms. We have some people that harvest some mushrooms on our properties. If you just want to go on a bushwhacking exploration through the woods, you just give us a call and we can make that happen. We also maintain some climbing areas. One that some people don't realize, Tennessee River Gorge Trust owns part of the Tennessee Wall along with Prentice Cooper. That's what you see pictured here. It's a really picturesque climbing area. This is the Tennessee Wall from Raccoon Mountain. And this is a really iconic picture you might see of the Tennessee Wall as well. That's right in our backyard on property that we work with Prentice Cooper to manage, if any of you are climbers. Castle Rock, if you're climbers, you might have heard of this area. If you're not, you might not have. It's in the Jasper area. You actually see Castle Rock if you're going towards Nashville and cross Nickajack Lake, but it's got some really intense, high quality climbing out there as well. We've just opened access to Hugden Cave. Some of you might know our executive director, Rick, and get a kick out of this picture. Sunshine, I know Sunshine has met Rick before. They took him caving and took him all the way back. And this is a cave you have to be experienced, but if you are an experienced caver, this is a must see. It's got this incredible giant room with a waterfall that falls down the middle of it. It's something to see, but not if you're claustrophobic.
That's a great picture, though.
Yeah, it is. It's an action shot. We also conduct research in the River Gorge, and the main ways we collect research is through ornithology, so the study of wild birds, and then water quality monitoring, so testing tributary streams in the Tennessee River Gorge, and then we do some reptile and amphibian monitoring. This picture is actually a group of botanists from the Arnold Arboretum, which is an extension of Harvard, and there's this, I don't want to get too far into it, but there's this discrepancy with specimens of plants and wildlife in the United States of individuals from the Northeast being in this collection, because early on, a lot of science was all done in the Northeastern United States. So a lot of these collections don't have the Southern varieties as specimens, and that's important to have for study. So they're trying to fix that by they came down to the Tennessee River Gorge and went to some of our properties to collect different plants and trees for the collection. This is our bird observatory. This might be one of my favorite spots in the Tennessee River Gorge. It's kind of our research laboratory where we conduct all of our bird research, which I'll get into in a minute. And the public can come out here. We host public bird banding days where we take you back to the lab and you watch the researchers capture the birds, band the birds, release them. We have a 1 mile hiking trail out there. You can hike and a beach area. It's a fun place to hang out. And that happens in the fall and spring. So I'll show you how to keep an eye out for those events later on. A lot of people ask, what I mean when I say bird research and what we're doing. What we're doing is we're actually capturing and tagging wild birds with what's called leg bands. And the reason we do this is because a lot of bird species are what are referred to as indicator species. So you can learn a lot about your forest and ecosystem through studying individual organisms. So we study bird species by out here, we're doing inventory and monitoring. So we're just seeing how many birds we catch, what species, what age, all that. And over time, you can start to see if there's trends or fluctuations or patterns, or start to get an idea of this species historically was in the river gorge and it's not anymore. Why aren't we encountering it? Maybe there's some sort of habitat that we need to provide or some restoration project to attract that species back to the area. It can help. That's just a couple of things that this research can be used for. But how we do it is we set up what are called mist nets through the woods. You can see them here. This is our staff setting up a mist net in Middle Creek, but this is a better picture of it. It's just very fine net material that kind of looks like a hair net, and it's strung up between poles and anchored with lines. And it's very hard to see if you're flying straight at it, if the conditions are right. So the birds fly into the net and they're safely caught in the net until the researchers come and take them out. And then we equip them with what are called leg bands. And that's basically a license plate for the bird. They're issued by the U.S. federal government and they're distributed to bird banders, and we put them on the birds and then enter it into this shared database. And all researchers have access to this database. So basically, we're not only getting an idea of what birds are out here, the numbers, the species, but we're also, what happens is you recapture these birds over time and you start to get an idea of how long they're living, how their conditions looking over time, where they're migrating to, how far their home range is. There's a lot of answers to questions through this practice of bird banding. It seems crazy, but it really yields a lot of important information. On the right are color bands. We use those to help ID birds without catching them. So we have some birds that we monitor with just binoculars because they wear colored leg bands, so we can get a sense of how long they're living, their home range size, and if they're returning year after year just by sighting the bird with binoculars. And this is what you all can do if you come out to the bird observatory. You'll see this all happen, learn more about it, and release wild birds, which is just a crazy sensation if you haven't done it before. And you also get to see, there'll be some pictures later on, but you'll be amazed if you come in migration of these super charismatic, colorful birds that are all around us that you would never see otherwise. It'll blow you away. And if you're into birding or birds in general, I highly recommend it too. You'll get to see a lot of cool things up close. We also host.
Even if you're not into birding, this is one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to witness. So I highly encourage anybody listening in tonight, if you have the opportunity, look up the Tennessee River Gorge Trust, their bird research, and get yourself out there and experience this in person. It is so, so cool. What you guys are doing is so cool.
Thanks. Yeah, it's fun. I hope all of y'all on this, if you're able and in the area, sign up for one of these public bird banding days this fall, late summer, fall, probably end of August. It's a sight to see. We also use the space for, public events, environmental education, our own research efforts, and then professional workshops. So we have bird banding instructors come and use the space and have other professionals and researchers or students come to learn about bird banding or complete different courses. We have this great facility. It didn't have all the pictures, but there are 2 cabins with bunk rooms in it, camping platforms, a privy, a shower area. There's all kinds of facilities. So we use that to do these kind of large scale workshops sometimes. And then we sometimes get grants. Right now we're doing a project with the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency and 3 universities where we're tracking the migration of some bird species. So we're going out all over the river gorge and capturing birds and putting tracking units on them to track their migratory movements. The 2 big ones we've been doing are, one species is the Louisiana water thrush and the other is the worm-eating warbler. And it might seem like a wild concept, but why we do it is we have lots of populations of birds that only live here for 6 to 5 months a year. They come here to breed and raise their young, and then their wintering grounds, or really over half of the year, is spent in kind of the neotropics. Like a lot of birds from the Caribbean, Mexico, Central America, and northern South America are traveling to our area in Chattanooga, Tennessee to breed and raise young each year, and then they leave and they spend another half of the year elsewhere. So some of these bird species are, in peril. The populations are declining, mostly because of habitat loss. There are some other factors at play too. But so we're making this really concerted effort to conserve these species here in the United States, and groups in these other countries are also making big efforts to conserve these species. But there's not much linkage of where the population of birds in Tennessee goes. So like the birds you see here in Tennessee, where are they going? Are they going to southern Mexico? Are they going to northern South America? This project helps us answer that question, so we can have a more directed effort at conserving these species and conserve them the whole year on both of their breeding grounds. The Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency actually wanted us to do this research because they have money to spend on habitat improvements in the neotropics. So they wanted to learn where are these birds going? So where can we direct these funds to conserve habitat? So that's kind of I dove into a little bit, but that's the reason why we do this type of research. There we go. One project we just started, a really fun one. I've wanted to study these birds for a long time, is on belted kingfishers. If you spend any time fishing or out on the lake in your kayak and your motorboat, you probably encounter these birds a lot. They're perched on the sides of the banks and they catch fish out of the water. They're really beautiful, charismatic birds. It doesn't really show the blue. The picture doesn't do it justice, but we're tracking them because they're a really common species, but they're kind of mysterious. Not a lot of research has been done on them. So although they're common, they're not well understood. So this research project is a way to kind of fill that void of information and start to learn more about this common species. There's an effort in not just ornithology, but all wildlife conservation to keep common species common. We find ourselves often studying a species once it's too late, once it's in rapid decline, and then everybody jumps on the bandwagon to study that species. So there's a lot more efforts now to study all species, so we know the species and we're not playing catch up if something ever happens, basically. And this keep your eyes out. This is a cool project where we'll actually have a way where you can see where this bird is located. Generally on our website, you'll get updates. Everybody always is curious about the capture techniques of these birds. So I'll go through it real quick. If we're trying to target an individual species, we're not just putting nets up randomly in the woods to catch birds as they go through their daily routines. We'll use decoy birds and speakers that plays that bird's song. And males, especially in the breeding period, get super territorial. So they hear the song of another bird, they get all riled up and come in to check it out. They see the decoy and they fly at it and hit our net before they get to it. Here's a quick video. The top right is the bird coming in. And you can see it sits in the net, and we come pull it out and commence the research. Like I said earlier, we do water quality monitoring. We test the water in a lot of our streams and some out of the Tennessee River. It's part of the Georgia Adopt a Stream program, just because Tennessee doesn't right now have a Tennessee Adopt a Stream program. So it enters the Georgia Adopt a Stream database, and just a way to kind of keep an eye out on the quality of our water to see if any issues arise. Reptile and amphibian monitoring. This is just to keep an inventory of the species in the Tennessee River Gorge, just to know what's there historically. We're trying to have a long-term database, as well as a way to help direct research efforts. If a researcher wants to study a certain species, we will have a database that will tell them if it's in the Tennessee River Gorge and where we've encountered it, if it is. This is a pretty well-known species in the amphibian world. It's called the green salamander. You see them usually in wet rocky outcrops or tree bark, but they're a species of conservation concern, and we have a lot of them in the Tennessee River Gorge. But they are pretty sensitive to subpar habitat, so they're one of the first species to go if your habitat starts to get degraded. So it's a good sign if you see them. We have a lot of educational programs and partnerships. This is actually an international education partnership we're doing around bird migration. The idea, we're working with another group in town called La Paz and connecting school children from Chattanooga and Guatemala that live in areas of each area where the birds migrate between, just kind of as this environmental education program about bird migration. And these are pictures we just include at the end. Every one of these pictures you see is taken in the Tennessee River Gorge, which is kind of cool. We have, all the charismatic megafauna everybody wants to see when they go outside. They are all in the River Gorge, although they're more seldomly seen than this. Some of these are trail camera pictures. Some of them are from wildlife photographers that have come out to the properties. Lots of crazy smaller critters as well. See the green salamander on the left. Some incredible, gets overlooked sometimes, but some incredible plant species in the River Gorge. In the middle is what's called large flowered skullcap. This is a species that's on the endangered species list, and we have a pretty substantial population in the River Gorge of it. This is what I was talking about earlier. You'll see some crazy colored, interesting birds. If you don't know much about birds, this coming out to one of our bird banding days is a great way to learn a lot about them and see some incredible things. So ways to get involved, just use our property. We buy it and protect it and manage it on behalf of the community, you all. So we want you to get out there and explore and venture in the River Gorge. If you go to trgt.org/explore, that'll kind of show you a lot of our trails in the River Gorge and trail maps and everything you need to know to go hiking or trail running. You can help us out by reporting issues when you're out on our properties. We have a reporting page on our website where if you see a tree down, an erosion issue, anything that we don't know about. We manage all this property, but we only have 5 full-time staff. So having eyes out in the woods and on the trail is a huge help. This is just how to get to it. You go to the lands tab on our website and then trail reporting. And just a form you fill out. As much information as you can provide helps us out. Camp in the gorge. Don't just hike, go camp. Also, of course, climb, cave, kayak, whatever suits your fancy. We want you to go out there and do it. But we do provide 9 free campsites, about to be 11 free campsites. And just go to trgt.org camping to learn more. And I love the sites. They're pretty amenable to camping. The raised platforms are nice. The privies are sweet. They're all in incredible spots.
I second that. I love camping in the Tennessee River Gorge on your guys' property. So if you guys have not taken advantage of that, it is free. I mean, you can't beat free. And it is in one of the most beautiful gorges, I think, anywhere. So just wanted to tout you guys one more time there, Elliot.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, y'all really should go out and check out the campsites this summer. And adopt a section of trail. You can, the email at the end, if you were interested in this, write the email down and shoot me an email. But just have a short section of a trail that you would want to go hike once every 2 or 3 weeks to check on, pick up trash, let us know if there's a tree down or large maintenance issue. And of course, volunteer and donate. We're a nonprofit supported by the community, working on behalf of the community. So getting you out on the trails, helping, we're donating. That's a huge help to us. And that's how we do all this work that I just showed you. And another thing where we're doing with Outdoor Chattanooga, our awesome partners, is the Sunset Paddle Tours. And it's perfect timing for this presentation. These are coming up, and you go with Outdoor Chattanooga staff that are going to take you down this guided scenic paddle at sunset down the River Gorge. You're going from Raccoon Mountain to Sullivan's Landing, a really cool section of the gorge. Lots of good bird activity and wildlife. The sunset's incredible from there, and they have everything you need. The paddles, PFDs, boats, instruction. They run your shuttle for you. It's a really fun, turnkey, easy to do trip. If you don't have kayaks or you want to get into it, this is the perfect way to do it. So check that out if you're interested.
Yeah, and it's another great way to support Tennessee River Gorge Trust, as some of the proceeds go back to their conservation efforts.
That's right. And if you're on social media, that way a lot of our communication is done through social media. So please give us a follow. And anytime you're out in the River Gorge, tag us. Let us see. We want to see you out there and see pictures of you enjoying this space. The Tennessee River Gorge really is this unique anomaly of a canyon. Like, the sunshine can speak to that. It's this crazy picturesque section of the Tennessee River that comes out of nowhere, and it's pretty incredible. So if you haven't been out there, I highly recommend you get out there and check it out and use our properties. If you have any questions, we can do the Q&A now.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Elliot. It was so informative. I hope everyone learned something or many new things this evening. I loved the pictures to go along with it. Pictures definitely tell the story of how beautiful it is, and it probably doesn't quite do it justice in the whole grand scheme of things. So we did get a lot of compliments through the chat about how beautiful it is, and really enjoying your presentation. I do have a couple of questions I would love to ask of you from our audience. And for those of you that are still with us and listening, if you guys want to throw your questions in the Q&A for Elliot, we will run through those now. Let's see. Patrick Malloy, who is the owner of Adventure Sports Innovation here in Chattanooga. Hi, Patrick. He wants to know, can you talk a little bit more about the property on top of Signal Mountain? He wants to know, what kind of activities do you guys allow, and how does one get permission to use it? And then I'll do the second question after you answer that one.
Sure. Yeah. So we have a couple different properties on Signal Mountain. So I guess it would depend on which one of our, whoops, hold on. Sorry, my screen went nuts for a second. One of our properties, a more popular one, is the track right by Edwards Point. We have some more property near Middle Creek, and then our property that wraps around. It's kind of, if you're in Suck Creek Canyon, looking downstream up to your left, that canyon rim side is Tennessee River Gorge Trust property. That is one of the properties that's accessed by permission only, and but we give permission to hikers and mountain bikers to get on the property. That it's adjacent to Prentice Cooper State Forest, and there's a lot. I'll get a lot of questions about ATV riding out on that track. We currently don't allow ATV riding on the Tennessee River Gorge Trust track, and then most people know that because it takes you to Edwards Point itself, the overlook of that kind of looks over the Tennessee River Gorge, and the Cumberland Trail goes right through that property too. So the Cumberland Trail goes through Tennessee River Gorge Trust property. That's total open 24/7 hiking access. It's kind of, other than the Cumberland Trail or one parking area on Edwards Point Road, there's not a ton of access to it unless you're coming from Prentice Cooper. That's kind of a broad overview of it. Did I answer the question? Or
well, and I think that actually lends and leads you right into his second question, which the relationship that you have with Prentice Cooper State Forest, because you guys do share so many boundaries. What is your relationship like with Prentice Cooper? How do you guys operate? Like, because they do close down for hunt dates and things like that.
Yeah, so we have a fantastic working relationship with Prentice Cooper. I know all those people over there really well. They're a great group. We have actual written memorandums of understanding on some of their properties, in which we can do research on their properties. We can, in some cases, build trails on their properties. The Ritchie Hollow Trail is a trail that we built and maintained, but it's on Prentice Cooper property. There's all kinds of other partnerships and projects are done between us and Prentice Cooper. We stay in close contact with them, and just being large property owners adjacent to them, help them with any issues they have on the properties and vice versa.
Awesome. Patrick says you answered his question, and he appreciates the presentation. He's going to get in touch with you. So,
right.
Jim would like to know, does the River Gorge Trust offer internships?
We do sometimes offer internships. Things have kind of changed with the COVID year. I think it changed for everybody, but yeah, we do periodically offer summer internships. And if we do that, it'll be posted on our website. You'll be able to see it on the homepage. We'll do social media post about it as well. So before the summer, before next summer, keep your eyes peeled on the website, and we might have an internship opportunity.
Great. All right, House of M. They came in late, but where's the best place to stay up to date on your guys' events and programs?
Yeah, that would be our social media and our website. If you go to the website, you can get on our email list, and that'll keep you updated with quarterly newsletters and other information and events about the trust. And then everything we do is posted on our social media pages. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And then just keep an eye on our website. We have a scrolling news and updates on the homepage, and you can browse around to find out about events. But I'd say social media and signing up through our website for the e-blast are the best ways to stay informed.
Yeah, I would definitely sign up for the newsletter and check out their website. It's pretty comprehensive as far as the information that they provide there. So, and then they would also like to know, what is the best way to get started with Tennessee River Gorge Trust? I think you did kind of touch on that, but quick snapshot of getting involved with you guys again.
Oh, sure. So the easiest one is just you start using our properties. Go on our website and find out our hiking trails, campsites, different areas that have what you like to do outside, and go explore them, check them out. Let us know if you see any issues with them or what you think of them. Follow us on social media, like we said, sign up for the e-blast. We have volunteer opportunities that we'll share through that or through our website, where you can come out and help build trails, help maintain facilities, stuff like that. We try to do a lot of public events, and we're starting to do more of that. Now that things are becoming more safe pandemic wise, we'll be doing bird banding days at the lab, where you can come out and watch the bird banding. We'll be doing some guided hikes. We're doing these guided paddle trips with Outdoor Chattanooga right now. So just get involved with events as well. I'd say those are the best ways, and definitely volunteer. Just keep your eyes out. We'll start to have more volunteer opportunities soon.
Yeah, luckily COVID is dissipating and not as big of a threat as it once was. And so we are getting back to some sense of normalcy, and then therefore getting back together. So I'm glad to see you guys, just like us at Outdoor Chattanooga, kind of ramping back up with programs, activities, and events to engage people in the community to get back out, get back outside. Which I think is where a lot of people went during COVID. They realized they didn't want to be stuck at home. And so they started to go outside and play. I'm pretty sure you guys saw an increase in your use, land use during COVID. Did you?
Oh yeah, it was crazy. It was
Yeah.
twice as many people out there all of a sudden,
Yeah.
which is great. But yeah, we had to adjust. It was yeah, it was happy. We were happy to see it, and it's continued. We've definitely still seen the spiked use on our properties.
That was my hope, that would be a positive side effect of COVID, that people would once they discovered how great the outdoors are and enjoyed connecting with nature, that it was such a good stress relief and good for their physical and mental well-being, that they would continue to do it even after we got back to normal. So I love hearing that out of you. I did just drop a link in the chat for those interested in those sunset kayak tours. So you guys can go learn more about that and get yourself registered. There are 3 dates available, one coming up next week in June, another one in July, and the last one in August. Those are popular and will fill up, so I encourage you to not wait. All right, Eileen would like to know, do you require reservations for camping?
Yes, so it is reservation based. It's still free, but on our website, if you go to trgt.org/camping, it'll take you there. And it's online reservation system. So you just look at the date you want to camp, and each site has a limited number of spots. And if there's availability, you just click your slot and write your name down, email address, a few other things, and you got the spot. You'll get an email confirmation that'll let you know you got approved for the campsite. And it's a pretty easy step. But yeah, so you got to get a reservation. You can't just show up there first come, first serve, but it is free. It just takes 2 minutes to do.
Yeah, and it's a good way to guarantee that you're going to have a spot when you get there,
Mm-hmm.
instead of just relying on the first come, first serve. I've camped too often, and there's some sort of stress that occurs when you're like, okay, we got to hurry up and get there. We got to beat everyone there, as opposed to having a reservation and just knowing it's for you once you get there. You can take your time and enjoy. because a lot of these are paddle in, or at least the ones on Williams Island are paddle in only. So Dolly would like to know, are there any trails that might not be so steep? Because she has someone visiting that has some physical limitations. So any of your trails on your property that are not as steep as like the Ritchie Hollow?
Sure. So the Pot Point Nature Loop, the lower section is good. If you hike the upper section, it's going to get steep. If you only hike the lower section, just check out the map, hike the section that's along the river. That is really flat, easy walking, not much elevation change. A couple spots, but nothing extreme. And then our partners, right up above us, Prentice Cooper, they have some sections of the Cumberland Trail or spur trails that connect parking areas to the Cumberland Trail that are pretty easy walking too. I check out the Cumberland Trail system. Snooper's Rock is a kind of a trailhead area. There's the Pot Point Nature Loop sections of that near it are easy going. There is some steep stuff in there. You have to be careful and definitely check out the map, but look to Prentice Cooper too. Stringer's Ridge in town is actually, it's not in the River Gorge, but it's an area we worked on that project. We were kind of one of the organizations that helped with the land acquisition and land swap. So those are great trails. Those are short, quick climbs though. I wouldn't say it's totally flat walking. Just an easy one to get from downtown. Reflection Riding and Nature Center. That's if you're looking for the flat walking. There's long gravel roads sections that go through meadows and along the Lookout Creek that are really scenic. So I'd say if you're looking for something that's not in the River Gorge, of course, but that's probably the easiest hiking around. It's kind of a quick run through of a bunch of options, but I hope that helps.
Yeah, it definitely helps. And I tried to drop a link, but it somehow didn't turn into a link. For hiking in Chattanooga, you can visit outdoorchattanooga.com, activities page, hiking, and all of the trails that Elliot just mentioned. You can find more information about those, including trail maps, difficulty ratings, and driving directions to those trailheads. We got an anonymous question. They would like to know if Snooper's Rock is protected by Tennessee River Gorge or Prentice Cooper, or are both of you guys protecting it?
So the rock itself and the property you drive in on is Prentice Cooper property. And then I was saying this earlier, a cool thing about Prentice Cooper, what you see across the river. So like the view, a big chunk of that section of the mountain that you're looking at is Tennessee River Gorge Trust property. So Prentice Cooper protects the rock you're on, and we protect, along with some other landowners, what's on the other side that you're looking at. And Raccoon Mountain is protected. We have some properties nearby, a lot of properties on Highway 41, but Raccoon Mountain is owned by Tennessee Valley Authority. So TVA owns and protects Raccoon Mountain, but we do have a memorandum of understanding with parts of Raccoon Mountain where we mostly use for research access. We do a lot of our bird research on Raccoon Mountain.
And then you answered their second question. They were asking about Raccoon
Yeah,
Mountain.
I saw it a little early. I jumped the gun on that one.
Oh, you're perfect. I love it. All right. Does anyone have any other questions for Elliot this evening? Well, unless we see any more trickle in, I just want to give a shout out and a big thank you to Elliot for taking some time to share about your guys' organization, what you do, and what you're doing to protect and keep wild spaces wild for us to play in the greater Chattanooga area. So thank you. And thanks for giving your expertise to everyone. I hope everyone that was on the webinar this evening that you'll take some time to go check out Tennessee River Gorge Trust, take time to get out and play, take time to go volunteer and give back in some small way. It goes a long way in keeping green spaces green and the ability to recreate in all these beautiful spaces. So Outdoor Chattanooga, we are trying so hard to connect with you guys, engage with you guys in a variety of different ways. Go check us out at outdoorchattanooga.com. Go check us out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Like, subscribe, smash all the buttons, do what you do. Do the same thing for Tennessee River Gorge Trust. If you have any follow-up questions, post this webinar when we end it. feel free to reach out to myself or to Elliot. You can find our contact information on our websites. We'd be happy to answer any questions. We definitely want to connect you guys with the outdoors through this platform, as well as through those guided sunset kayak tours we're offering later on, and in other ways as well. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. Elliot, do you have any final words before we wrap this thing up?
No, just, I second everything Sunshine said, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for giving us job, guys. We appreciate it. We love talking about these things and engaging with you guys in this way. So thanks for being here, and until next time, y'all have a good night and make time to go outside and play. Thanks, Elliot.
Thanks, Sunshine. See you later.
Bye, y'all.